Today's strawberry spinach salad demonstration will be performed by Laurie Welch. Laurie is an extension educator based in Lycoming County, and I will turn it over to you, Laurie.
Great, welcome everybody. Like Nicole said, we're going to do the strawberry spinach salad. Before we get started, as with anything, we want to start with a nice clean countertop and try to organize our space. And we're also going to begin with hand washing. So I'm just going to get our little water running here. There we go. Nice soapy water. Get our hands nice and clean. Good practice to do that as well. Now today, after I wash my hands, I'm going to put gloves on because I'm going to be preparing and everybody will get to sample it. And so that's just an extra safety precaution for us today, but you probably don't wear gloves in your own personal kitchen. So just get it in there nice and good, hot running water. There we go. Let me dry them off. And the trick will be to get the gloves on when my hands are still a little damp. So this is a great recipe. I chose to perform this one because even though we're still in summertime, strawberries are great in season, and this is a great recipe. Yeah, not going to work so good with wet hands. Let's try these gloves. There we go. Try bigger gloves. Apparently my hands are bigger than I thought. But this is a great recipe. This is a great time to get the ingredients. Typically in Pennsylvania, strawberries start coming in, July typically, even though we're a little bit past that. This is going to be the hardest part. Not the cooking, but getting the gloves on. So, it's a great time. This is a great healthy dish that you can bring to any party or picnic. I know a lot of us are trying to eat healthier, and we go to barbecues, and there's a lot of the good, fattening, delicious food. But this is something that you can bring. It's easy to prepare, and it's very tasty, and most people do like it. So before we begin, I'm just going to sort of give a little of what our ingredients are. I've got my recipe here. Hopefully you guys have a copy of the recipe. We're going to have pecans, and we'll measure them out. We also are going to use balsamic vinegar. Balsamic vinegar is the brownish kind of vinegar. If you don't have this at home, I've also used this with red wine vinegar. That works perfectly as well. You could even probably go with apple cider vinegar, but balsamic is what we're chose to present today. We're going to use extra virgin olive oil. We're also going to use poppy seeds. I bought a small container as well. A little bit of honey. Dijon mustard. And again, this is one of the ingredients. When I get a new recipe, I always prepare it as it is. But sometimes if you're going to make a recipe and you go for the refrigerator and you don't have Dijon and you only have yellow mustard, it could easily be substituted out. So again, when I make a new recipe, I always prepare it as it is, and today you will. But substitutions, especially, I don't know about you, you go to the grocery store and you think they have something and you're missing, and sometimes you have to substitute. So mustard is one that if you don't have Dijon, you can come up with another one. Of course, black pepper, spinach. Now I chose the baby spinach. This one is triple washed, and I like it. Now, if you are buying the spinach fresh, you really want to rinse it really well and pat it dry. I also find with spinach, if you grow spinach in your garden, sometimes the stems are a little bit woody, so you always want to wash it really well, pat it dry if it's not pre-packaged, and sometimes you want to cut off that stem because sometimes they're a little hard and woody. But I cheat. I like the big baby spinach. It's triple washed, it's prepared, and it's ready to go. The other ingredients we need today are strawberries. Now I did rinse these strawberries off in the sink, and I put them back in here, so you want to make sure you rinse your strawberries as well. So I did that ahead of time, and then I just put them back in the original container. And then we're going to need red onion. Now I cheated because I don't like to cut onion in front of people when I'm doing cooking demo because the tears run down. So I did buy pre-packaged red onion. Red onion looks great in this recipe, again, with the red strawberries, but this is another ingredient. If you don't have a red onion, if you have a white onion, a Vidalia onion, it works quite as well too. But I like the red onions for the color, and they also have a nice, sweeter kind of texture and flavor. And then we're going to use reduced fat, crumbled feta cheese. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, if you have the recipe in front of you, is you're going to preheat your oven to 350 sorry, my thing is on 350 degrees, and we're going to toast the pecans. Now, we obviously don't have an oven facility, so I toasted them at home ahead of time. And so you toast them. It's about 8 to 10 minutes, and toasting, they get a little more tan color. You'll start to smell them roasting. It's an addition to it. Again, if you're one of those people that, especially in the summer, and you don't have air conditioning and your kitchen's hot, and you choose not to turn the oven on, the recipe turns absolutely fine without the toasted pecans. But sometimes it just gives it it kicks it up a notch a little bit. So what we're going to do is, in a small mixing bowl, actually, you know what? I'm going to use this because that's what I put it there for. So to start, we're going to do the dressing. We're going to mix the vinegar, which the recipe calls for a 1/4 cup. And again, this is the balsamic vinegar. So I'm going to use a 1/4 cup. We're going to put it in our bowl. Oops, making a little mess here. I'm a messy cook, but I love it. That's why you want to start with the clean countertop. Because if you're like me that make a mess, we got to clean it up. So I'll make my little mess up here. So that's a 1/4 cup of the balsamic vinegar. And the next we are going to add the extra virgin olive oil, and that calls for 2 tablespoons. So here's my tablespoon. 1, 2 tablespoons of that. You're also going to put the poppy seeds, and the recipe calls for 1½ tablespoons. So I'm going to use the same tablespoon there, 1½ tablespoons of the poppy seeds. It's a tablespoon. And then that's the half. Put that right in there. So that's 1½ tablespoons of the poppy seed. And we are going to put the honey. The recipe calls for, again, 1½ tablespoons of honey. So I'm going to squeeze that in there. And honey can be a little sticky, so we're going to kind of cheat to get it all out of there. And then we're going to use the half. And again, this is a great recipe. Everybody says, oh, baking salad dressing is so hard. This is so easy. The one hint I'm going to tell you, if you are bringing this to a party or a picnic, you probably want to put the dressing on at the last minute because it will get a little bit soggy. So when I usually bring this to a party, I'll have my spinach and my strawberries in a bowl, bring the dressing separate, and then put it on and coat it closer to the time. Because if you let it sit, it does get a little bit soggy. So in our bowl, we have vinegar, oil, poppy seeds, honey. We're going to need Dijon mustard, and the recipe calls for a ½ teaspoon. So this is my teaspoon, so I'm going to use a half in there. And the last ingredient, just double checking here, is pepper. And the recipe calls for 1/8 teaspoon, so that's a teeny, teeny amount. So this is my 1/4 teaspoon. Oh, I like pepper. So I'll use half of that. A little bit of black pepper. Okay, so all that's in there is your honey, your pepper, your poppy seeds, your virgin olive oil, and your balsamic vinegar. So you're just going to whisk that together. And we're going to let that set aside for a little bit, and that's going to be our dressing, easy peasy. Now, for the salad, the recipe calls for 10 ounces, about 6 cups. So this I pre-bought is about 10 ounces exactly, and that's another reason I bought it, no measuring. So that's going to go right in there. And like I said earlier, see, I'm a messy cook, but that's okay. I do choose the pre-packaged. Actually, there we go. Big bowl there. Okay, the pre-packaged because it is triple washed and all ready to go. Okay, so I'm just going to set that aside. Then we're going to do our strawberries. Like I said earlier, I already washed them really good, gently. Again, sometimes you can use a vegetable brush, very gently with that. So I'm going to just top the strawberries and just slice them and put them. I could have done it ahead of time to save some time here, but I wanted it nice and fresh. So I'm just going to chop them up bite size and throw them into our salad. Now, I just want to add a few things while I'm making it. I've made this salad many times. I typically make this at Thanksgiving time and think, oh, strawberry salad. I did say it's a summertime. Just think about it. You know, at Thanksgiving, we have the mashed potatoes, the stuffing or filling, whichever you call it, the corn, the turkey. A lot of times there's nothing green, unless you count green bean casserole. But I think when you put the cream of mushroom soup and the toasted onions, it sort of kills all the health value. It is very yummy. So I always make this at my house for Thanksgiving. Sometimes it's hit or miss because the strawberries are hard to find in November, but it's a good healthy addition to our holiday meal. And so a lot of times when I'm asked to bring this or dish, I usually bring the strawberry spinach salad. I bring this everywhere. I don't want to say I'm almost famous for it, but I've been making this for about 10 or 15 years and different versions of it. The one Thanksgiving, I want to say this is prior to COVID, I went to buy strawberries, and for whatever reason, the grocery store did not have strawberries. So I just want to talk about some substitutions, because we know the reality is you go to the grocery store and you have your list and you want to make a dish and you can't always find what you need. Now, on your recipe, there is a nutrition facts label so you can see the nutritional content. So when you start doing some substitutions, that may mess up a little bit. But this is the reality. You go to the store, you're all set to bring your strawberry spinach salad, and there's no strawberries. Frozen strawberries do not work well because they're soggy. So I have made this dish with mandarin oranges, the canned, and drained them. I've made them with blackberries, raspberries, blueberries, or any combination. I think it's really important with today's times where you go with your recipe and ingredients and you go to the store and you can't find it, and you either say, well, I can't bring that, but I just do, just different substitutions. So all I'm doing is topping these strawberries and slicing them up in here. We're almost done here. Do that in there, almost done. Like to use them all. Almost done. And I didn't measure these out. I used the whole container because we don't want to waste them. And that's the one thing I like about a salad. When you're baking is a science, and if it says a half a cup of flour and baking soda, you really have to stick to that. A salad, the preparation, if your amounts are different, if you're short a couple berries, you're short some salad, it actually turns out pretty fine. That's why I chose to do salads, because you really can't mess them up. So let's just double check the recipe again. So you're going to spinach, we're going to strawberries, and the red onion. Now the red onion is thinly sliced, and like I said, I pre-purchased it ahead of time. So you could chop it as well if you want small pieces, but for our purposes, we're just going to put some sliced onions. And again, I like the red onions. Like I said, they look very pretty against the nice strawberry. And we are going to top with the feta and pecans. And the recipe calls for, I have more pecans. We're going to use a half a cup. So we'll do a half a cup of pecans. Let's do it this way. Let's get these onions out of the way. We'll do a half a cup. And again, I toasted these ahead of time. Again, if you don't have time, they're perfectly fine untoasted. We're going to top that. Oops. And let's see how much feta we want. We want 1/3 cup of reduced fat cheddar. Feta. So we got 1/3 cup here. We're going to measure it out. We're going to top that. And then we're going to drizzle. I'm going to move this over here so people can see. Clean up my mess a little bit here. I don't know if you can see, are you getting a good view of this for those in the audience? Look how pretty it looks. Okay, so we're just going to drizzle our dressing on. There we go. Hopefully I didn't forget anything. Usually I forget something, but hopefully not today. Get my tongs. Thank you. And we just gently toss it. And there you have a great salad. Now, if you look at your copy, a serving size, again, the spinach is, about the size of strawberries. I didn't measure out. A serving size is about 1/8 of the recipe. So In theory, you would get 8 servings of this for your planning. Now again, if you're a family like mine, and especially if it's the main course, you might use a little bit more. It has 270 calories, so it's a pretty healthy meal. And again, you could eat this by yourself as a side dish, or if you want to make a meal out of it, you can take a nice grilled chicken breast and do like a grilled chicken salad. Again, especially when it's hot out in the summertime, you can prepare this. And these are ingredients I think most people have in your kitchen. Maybe the strawberries and the spinach might not be, but most people have all these ingredients in your kitchen. So this salad is easy, quick, and like I said, it is my standby, and I use it for a lot of different picnics and everything. Does anybody have any questions about the recipe or the food? Okay. Okay, thank you very much, and we'll do this up so you can have some samples.